We'll try to make this work for you guys. Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I want to say thank you so much for being here. And before I start and make some remarks about the important issue of SNAP, I want to say thank you so much to Patty and Rod Radel and the leadership here at the Inner City Development for their efforts in bringing people together today and for all of the work that they've been doing for so many decades now, almost 60 years here on the west side of San Antonio. It's been incredible to watch them work and serve the people. This is a place that I know very well, this neighborhood. I grew up not too far from here for several years. Went to Carvajal Elementary and Tafoya Middle School, and I know that there's great need, and for years they've been here to serve the people. So I want to say a big thank you. Also want to acknowledge that right now we're in the district of my very good friend, Greg Cassar, who he and his wife just had a baby, and that's why they haven't joined us today. But I wanted, of course, to congratulate him, but I know he very much wanted to be here and has been working on this issue as well. And all the folks that you see to my left and my right behind me are here today because we're entering a crisis for many families, one that will be devastating to families in San Antonio and across the United States of America. On November 1st, people will not receive the SNAP benefits they rely on to put food on their tables. Shutting off SNAP will leave 3.5 million Texans hungry. Donald Trump and the Republicans have funding to keep SNAP benefits flowing, yet they're choosing not to. And let me be clear about that. The president has the authority right now to allow people to get their SNAP benefits, but he's holding those hostage. The president has been out of the country in Asia. He's been focused on a $40 billion bailout to Argentina. His press secretary recently said that his number one priority was building a White House ballroom for millions of dollars. And yet he's refused to negotiate reopening the government. So his idea of negotiating on reopening the government is to see how much he can hurt people in this country. And that includes the most vulnerable Americans. Donald Trump and the Republicans are also weaponizing SNAP benefits, unfortunately. They're exploiting families' anxiety over their household budget. In other words, they're weaponizing people's hunger. This is the first time in SNAP's 60-year history that the federal government is refusing to provide assistance to families. The first time in 60 years that the government is cutting people off. This is a new low. And so why are they doing this? Republicans have received direction from Donald Trump to let families go hungry if it means skipping negotiating with Democrats to reopen the government and lower the cost of living, including the cost of health care coverage. And I believe that it's wrong, and millions of Americans believe that it's wrong. So what does it say about who we are as a country that we would let kids go hungry? Texas also needs to take immediate action. So I'm also calling on Governor Abbott to use the state's over $24 billion rainy day fund to keep families fed. The governor must take a page from other states' leaders and governors who are using their own state resources to feed families. The state of Texas has 24 or 25 extra billion dollars sitting in its bank account. It has more than enough money to temporarily supply SNAP benefits. I'm also calling on Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas to join 25 other states that have filed a lawsuit against the USDA for illegally withholding funding that keeps people in our community fed. Of the 3.5 million people in Texas who will lose SNAP benefits, 1.7 million are children. Here in Bexar County, over 284 on SNAP. Most of these are working people with families. But those statistics do not convey the true cost of a child who goes to bed hungry, or the burden of parents skipping surviving on a fixed income, having to choose between paying for a prescription or a healthy meal. The volunteers in this room know that food is essential for our mental and physical health. So when Republicans cut $1 trillion in Medicaid funding, shut off SNAP, and refuse to extend ACA premium tax credits for health care, they're making it impossible for families to live healthy and full lives. We cannot allow this to happen. Republicans need to come to the table to reopen and negotiate to do so as soon as possible. And now I want to introduce Rosalinda Cisneros, a wonderful volunteer who will share her story, which represents the struggles of millions of families and what they're facing. I'll keep this here just so it doesn't fall. There you go.
Hello and good morning. I'm Rosalinda Cisneros. I was raised in this neighborhood, but also I do volunteer work here and at Estrella Adult Care. And I am here every morning with my daughter, Maria Cisneros. And she goes to daycare too, and she also hears the problems that are going with our elderly. My really hurting that the elderly and the disabled are going to be very affected. That's what they say. We've been affected. We've been affected because of so many things that are passing through our lives. These young old people have to go with hunger at night. We have to make sure that these people don't go hungry at night because they have a benefit. They already did their time. They already did their retirement, and they're going to hit them with this. We can't take that, and we can't take nothing else from our young teenagers and our young students that are going home too. And they have mothers and fathers that are struggling, and that's not fair for them either. And most of our older children that go to college, they are hanging in a thread. They also have to eat, and they also have to hang in there to study to make our city, our world better. So what's going to hit us later? It's already impacted us a long time ago. Our president has to wake up and say, we are not the great America that you promised us. You need to see our elderly, you need to see our handicaps, you need to see homeless, and you need to see humanity. We love humans. And that's all we're going to say, that you have to understand that here in earth, we are hungry. And you have to stop this and feed our people and not do nothing wrong, because we didn't ask for all of this. It's y'all playing the ball. We just cash it, and that's not fair. So I'm asking everybody to tell Washington, it's time to stop and feed America. That's all we have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalinda. Now I'd like to introduce our co-executive director of Inner City Development, Patty Radel, and former councilwoman also, Patty Radel.
Thank you very much. My husband Rod is here, and we are the co-volunteer directors of Inner City Development. And I want to thank Congressman Joaquin Castro for having this press conference here, because we have been very disturbed at what we see. We are a small food pantry. We're one of the oldest food pantries in the city. And now, today, we are one of many. The situation in hunger continues since the establishment here in 1968. There has been no less call to help people find the food they need to keep their family healthy. We can identify, we can recognize a healthy culture, right, by how that culture treats its children. So what does it say to us if we are in a culture that refuses to give formula to a baby, to give food to people, to our senior citizens, to make sure that all children, teenagers, are well nourished as they try to keep up with their schoolwork? We know here at Inner City that the call to respond to the issue of hunger has increased greatly. Usually we have, as a small pantry, we have 2 or 3 families a day that will come in for groceries. Yesterday, we had 10. And we know what entered the door was fear of what's coming. And of course, that adds to the stress of a family that's already under stress. And many of the people that come here don't have a car. They may come on the bus. When we say to somebody, oh, is this person also with you? No, they're not here for food. They gave me a ride. It's my neighbor, it's my family friend, it's my brother, it's my sister. So transportation to get to resources is a big problem as well. And that fear, carries into the household. We also have an average of 50 unhoused neighbors that come here each day seeking food. And many situations there are the results of unemployment, which of course leads to lack of food, which of course leads to the malnutrition and suffering and added stress. The stories that come to us are heartbreaking already. Even people who are on stamps, or people who are on the SNAP program, it doesn't mean that they don't have a hunger problem anymore. Because with the rise in the price of food, the great rise in the source of food in our grocery stores, nowadays those you use stamp from the older term. Nowadays those SNAP resources do not carry them to the end of the month. And so it increases, again, the demand for some response to how we help people who are in very vulnerable positions. And pointing out that even a person on stamps, that's a statement that they are already in a position of insecurity in their home, right? And the fact that prices have risen in food and they can't stretch that to the end of the month, that's added pressure. And so the idea of the stamps, the idea of SNAP benefits being cut off takes a very, very stressful, very, very ugly situation to a point, to a level of criminal proportions. If there's money there, yet we let people go hungry, what kind of a society are we?
Right.
We need that government response. The community pantries need support in this very critical time. So I make an outcry if you have a food pantry in your area, please support those food pantries, but please raise your voice about the horrible condition of a decision to cut off food to families who need to feed their children. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Patty, and thank you, Rod, for your years of service to this community and everything that you've done here, and to the volunteers also for all the incredible work they've done for the people of this West Side community. Again, I was in Washington a few days this week. As Democrats, we've tried to continue going back because we want the House of Representatives to reopen. We want to work towards reopening the government. That's what we've been working towards. Again, unfortunately, the president has been out of the country, has been focused on other issues, has been disengaged, and now is weaponizing SNAP benefits, holding people's SNAP benefits hostage because he doesn't want to extend healthcare tax credits. And let me speak to that briefly, and then I'll take some questions if you have them. If those tax credits run out for healthcare, people have already started to receive to see how much their health care costs are going to increase. These are folks like small business owners that were able to leave working at other jobs, start their own small businesses. The reason they could afford it is because of these tax credits that we're fighting for. Otherwise, they would not have been able to afford to run their own small businesses. Their health insurance premiums would go up hundreds or thousands of dollars. And that's what people are experiencing right now. But we still have a chance to do the right thing and to save them from having to either pay those big premiums and the increases, or not get health coverage at all, or get health coverage that is just not very good for them and their family. And so I hope that this gets resolved very quickly. People are living paycheck to paycheck. You still have a lot of federal workers, obviously, who are not getting paid, like TSA workers, air traffic controllers, and others. So I want people to know that I hear them, that I've been going back to Washington to try to work to reopen the government, and we want the president to do the same. With that, I'll be glad to take some questions. Yep.
Mr. Castro, what are you doing personally to end the government shutdown?
Well, as I mentioned, I've been going back to Washington, putting pressure on the speaker and really everyone to reopen the government. I've been sharing the stories of San Antonians. We put out a call for people from my district, the 20th district, to let us know how they're impacted. We received hundreds of responses over the last few weeks. I've been sharing that not only with the Democratic caucus, but really to anybody that will listen. And so we've been putting a lot of pressure on people to reopen. But ultimately, the president has to make the decision to do that, and the Speaker of the House. Remember, right now, Republicans have the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. So they are in control of when a chamber reopens, and I hope that they do that soon.
Thank you.
Depending on who you ask, it's the other person's fault. Is there any hope that you can give people, because at the end of the day, they want the benefits?
No, believe me, we've heard from a lot of folks that are angry, that are fearful, that are anxious. They want the government to reopen. And yeah, I think most of all, people should be speaking out. They should call their representative, whether it's me or whether it's Chip Roy or Tony Gonzalez or Senator Cornyn or Senator Cruz, regardless of political party, and asking them to reopen the government.
Is there any reassurance that you can give to people at this point, though? They want to know that they're going to get those benefits at the end of the day. So is there anything besides telling them to call the congressman that you can put their minds at ease?
Well, I mean, I think that the hope is that this is the first time in 60 years where an administration, a president, has refused to allow those benefits to flow. USDA, which oversees the SNAP program, before the shutdown happened, they put online, they put out a plan to continue to provide SNAP benefits. And then they went and deleted that plan. They took it offline. And so yes, the hope is that the money is there. It is available. You just have somebody that refuses to give it. And that's wrong.
Are we on track to have the longest government shutdown in U.S. history?
It certainly looks that way. My first term in 2013, I believe it was, where it went over a month. And this is not a record to be proud of for anyone. And so again, I hope that all sides will get to the table and end this thing.
Are there any glimpses of hope that there might be both sides coming together, the president?
The president's going to have to speak for himself. Again, unfortunately, the White House press secretary within the last week said that their main focus was that ballroom. This is not me putting words in their mouth. That's what his press secretary said. But yes, I mean, you have the Speaker of the House who's in Washington, all the time. The Democratic leadership that's always in Washington. And then those of us in the Democratic caucus, I know, have been going back almost every week. That we can prod folks to open up the government. And so I want people, I don't want people to, even though it's tough, I don't want people to be completely pessimistic and without hope. There are many folks that are fighting to make sure the government reopens as soon as possible.
You keep mentioning the ballroom, but the question before that was specifically about renovations to the White House. So continuing to say that that's his priority is kind of misleading, given the question before that was asked to the secretary. But that being said, if you want to comment on that, but that being said, the president's not the one not voting for the continuing resolution. It's both sides that are having trouble getting that passed.
Yeah.
So does this fall on solely the president, or does it fall on Congress?
Well, I guess a few things. The president has given in the last few weeks, has made $40 billion available to Argentina. That's not the United States of America. That's not the people of San Antonio. It's $40 billion for Argentina. Has focused on the ballroom, has bragged about the ballroom. So you have a disengaged president right now. They've refused to do what presidents, Republican and Democrat, have done during shutdowns, which is to continue to provide SNAP benefits. It's not just Democratic presidents that have done that. Republican presidents have done it as well, except for this president. And so that's made it very difficult. As far as the continuing resolution, a few things there. The reason, as Democrats, that we've been pushing so hard on maintaining these healthcare credits is because for me, I'll just speak for, we're in the state of Texas that has the highest percentage of people that already don't have healthcare coverage. I mean, you're talking about, we are in the state, sitting in the state right now, where you have of people that have no healthcare coverage at all. And for me, that's a very personal thing. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer. And one of the drugs that I have to take every month, the list price on that drug, the first time I saw it, was $24,000 per injection. And that's one type of cancer. Cancer is one type of illness that people are dealing with in our neighborhoods here on the west side, throughout San Antonio, throughout Texas, and throughout the country. So the stakes are very big for people, because if you can't afford healthcare coverage, you're probably not getting that shot every 28 days that you need it. And you know, people are dealing with Lyme disease, sickle cell, hypertension, heart disease, all these other things. And so it's very important that we extend those healthcare tax credits. And so that's, you know, that's what the continuing resolution, or the CR, or the budget, has been about. Again, I mean, the polls show that even Republican constituents, Republicans in the United States, not the political leadership, but just regular people out there, that they support extending these tax credits, that they don't want them to expire. And so I'm not asking Donald Trump and Mike Johnson and John Thune to listen to Democrats. I'm asking them to listen to Republicans, to their own folks who are saying that they want these things. Any other questions for me or Patty or Rosalinda or anybody? No?
I'll ask.
Yeah.
If you want to
Please.
step up. My only question is, how does SNAP going away affect y'all's pantry? Your numbers would increase, I'm assuming. Is that the only thing, or are y'all looking at other issues?
Yes, and they have already increased, as I mentioned, like the fear that we see of people figuring they won't get SNAP benefits next month. So it impacts us by our numbers going up. And we are an all-volunteer organization for our services. And we depend we depend on the generosity of other people to keep our food pantry stocked for 365 days. We will have a fundraiser in that regard starting this next month. But you know, if it keeps up the pace that it indicated yesterday, we are going to need a lot more help. So that's how it will impact us. We will need to, you know, make many requests on behalf of those in our community who are hungry. And when we say our community, a lot of the people that come to our pantry are from close around. We have the Alazana Paget Courts here in our community. It's the oldest, and I think the unit that has the most families in it. And so there are a lot of people right here that are suffering from food insecurity. But inner city will feed anyone who's hungry, who's in need. It might be somebody who lives in another part of the city, another part of the country, driving through, somebody living in their car. Hunger is our focus, so we will serve.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Welcome. Oh, yes,